If you saw one of the videos from last week, I was talking about how we have all these different parts of us. And whether you think that's true or not, if you think about it, we've all said something like that, where you've said, yeah, part of me wants to, stay in this job. Part of me wants to start a business. Part of me wants to lose the weight, and get up early. And part of me wants to eat ice cream. Whatever it is, and that you've said. And the part I'm going to talk today about is interesting, and I'm going to share a bit of my past with it, which is our inner child or our core self. When I heard this term years ago, and I had people bring it up to me, and go, "Hey, have you ever done this? This inner child work, this and that?" I'm like, "No, I'm a guy. I don't have that." And I'd hear a lot more from women. I'd be like, "Nah, I don't think that's real." And no one was, I'm sure there's some people, but I was very adverse to it. No, I don't think so. I don't have that. Other people have that, or maybe really spiritual dudes have that, or women have that, or whatnot. And I got to a point where I started to look into it, and I was really, really surprised. And there was even one moment I was traveling where it was like a part of me talked to another part of me, where I was walking down the street, and it was like I felt the presence of a child talking to me. Super weird. Never experienced anything like it. No, ayahuasca was not involved, or a psychedelic, even though we talk about things here on this channel. And it really got me thinking and connecting with myself in a different way. And I wanted to tell you that little story and then talk why it's relevant to you. We have a part of us that's like a young us, like a 5-year-old self. Whatever you want to call it inner child, call it something else, call it core self. This part of us that wants love, that wants to be accepted, that wants to have fun, that also has a bunch of fears, that can be afraid of getting yelled at because that part of us remembers a relationship like that, or remembers how our uncle yelled at us, or our parents, or it's afraid of saying the wrong thing in class and it doesn't want to be made fun of. And maybe you're 20, 30, 40, 50, that's not showing up in the classroom, but it's showing up in you hesitating in business or not wanting to make a mistake in your relationship. And this part of us is like a 5-year-old. And as a 5-year-old, imagine if all of a sudden you found out you had a 5-year-old living in your living room for the last 20 years. If it has felt neglected for decades, it can be trying to come out in all different ways that you may have not seen. I know, like I said, when I was super resistant to this years ago, and then started to look into this and started to be like, oh my gosh, this is really a thing. So the part of you that numbs out, I was just talking to someone with some pretty bad, or someone in their family with bad addiction issues today. And from what I can see and what they can see with that person, he has that part of him that's gotten so hurt as a kid, and he doesn't have another way to talk about that pain, heal that pain. So it just turns into alcohol abuse through binge drinking once a week, once a month. But it seems like that's very obvious from what we know, that part of him is hurting. And why is this so important to you? If you literally had a 5-year-old in your living room for 20 years and it's been walking around and you somehow haven't seen it, there can be a lot of emotional stuff that needs to be heard. And sometimes it's just as simple as making space for this part of you. And maybe you'll hear it, maybe you'll feel it, making space for this part of you and going, what do you need to tell me, bro? Call him bro, call him little dude. But this part of you that needs to come out, that needs to express itself. And just like a 5-year-old, it's not a business agreement, right? So it's like, hey, what do you need? Let me fix it. If it was a 5-year-old kid that's angry, that's sad, that's hurt, needs to talk, needs to cry, needs to be heard. It's not necessarily a rational problem solving conversation, especially how we look at life and enter into things as a man. This part of us is so essential. If this part of us doesn't feel heard, doesn't feel safe, it can create a bunch of drama, hurt, anger in our relationships. If you've been in a relationship where this part of you, and maybe you didn't know, grew up anxious and fearful, that now in an intimate relationship, by being anxious, being with someone and not wanting to be left out, not wanting to be abandoned. And paradoxically, when this happens, when we're in a relationship, when that inner 5-year-old is scared and anxious, and if we don't want to be abandoned or hurt by this person, we end up actually abandoning our own needs and the things that's important to us, just to make sure this person doesn't leave, that they stay, that they're still here for us. Now you might go, how is this relevant to me on a Monday night? Well, the way it would be relevant to you is to sit and have some time to talk to this part. There's different ways. It can be, especially, what time is it right now? 8 o'clock, I think. Excuse me. To have quiet time for yourself, whether it's in meditation, whether it's sitting on the couch with your hand on your heart and talk to him. And if you have resistance to this, man, I get it. I had so much resistance to this when I first heard about it. I wasn't open to it at all. And then it kind of just came to me and kept coming to me, where I was like, okay, this is actually real. I'm surprised. It's time to do something. But also, this is true, because if I told you there's a part of you that's like a stubborn teenager that wants to have fun and do things their way, most of us would go, yeah, I still got that part. That's just another part of the ecosystem that's inside of you. And it's funny because you can have these different parts of yourself. And I was talking with a group of guys last week, and one guy said, he was talking about something similar. Well, I don't want to say the different parts because I might sound like I'm schizophrenic. And I talked to him, I was like, no, man, that's totally normal. You're not schizophrenic by saying part of me feels this, part of me feels that. But to talk to these parts, to talk to your inner child, to put your hand on your heart and say, what are you feeling? What do you need? And to have the courage to feel your own feelings. What's weird with this stuff is you might go, oh my gosh, I'm crying about, this stuff from a long time ago. I had a friend last week. She was going through some of this stuff. She's going, I'm having all this weird stuff come up from 20 years ago. And here's the interesting thing. What if whatever you want to excel in, you want to be a more powerful man, you want to be a better leader, you want to make more money, you want to be healthier, and something's been holding you back. And that may have then led to mindless scrolling. That may have led to porn, Tinder, weed, alcohol, other drugs. Because there's some part of you that's in conflict, doesn't know how to express itself. Or feels so unheard for so long, you're not even aware that you haven't unheard it. So this irritation, this anxiety, frustration, anger, sadness is coming up, some kind of discomfort. Well, let me do something, whether it's a phone or a substance, let me get rid of this feeling. So what can you do today, tonight, to sit with that part of you? I'll challenge you. Right now, I guess I have the kitchen lights on, and I have these little plastic candles that aren't real. I just hit them on a remote. For me, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna sit in silence tonight for 20 minutes, a half an hour, and talk to that part of me. Because it's been extra talkative lately for me. And to listen to it. And it's weird how much you can accomplish by not trying to accomplish something. By just sitting there and listening. Not trying to coach it, not trying to problem solve it, not needing a journal, however you could do that, not needing to look up some ChatGPT strategy, just to listen. just to listen to a part of you that maybe hasn't felt heard in a while. Or it's been heard, but something in it feels sad, feels hurt, is bothered. By the way, this shows up a lot in intimate relationships. Yes, I've experienced it, as you may have as well, whether you're aware of it or you'll be aware of it as you remember now in your dreams tonight. So what does that inner 5-year-old want to say to you? If you could just listen and hear him, and like a little 5-year-old, whatever emotion comes up, it just comes up, and he has reassurance, he has a hug, and he knows you're there, and he knows you're not going anywhere. Thanks for tuning in. This is Phil. Go talk to your 5-year-old.